In the small town of Millbrook, nestled among rolling green hills, Emma Thompson sat at her desk surrounded by scattered weather charts and computer screens. Her auburn hair was pulled back, and her green eyes focused intently on the unusual. Solar radiation data dancing across her monitor. Something was changing, and she could feel it in her bones. Emma had always been different from other researchers. Where others saw numbers, she saw stories. Her mentor, Richard Clark, often joked that she was more of a detective than a meteorologist. Today, those detective skills were working overtime. The morning had started like any other. Farmers in the surrounding fields were preparing for another day of work. James Williams, the local farmer, had noticed his crops were growing differently. The wheat seemed stronger, the corn more resilient, but nobody paid much attention at first. Richard walked into the research center, his weathered hands carrying 2 cups of strong coffee. "Something's not right," he muttered, placing a cup beside Emma. She nodded, her fingers tracing the unusual patterns on the screen. "Look at these readings," Emma said, pointing to a series of graphs. The solar radiation levels were behaving strangely. It wasn't just a small change. It was something profound and potentially world-changing. In the town's small cafe, people began talking. Mrs. Peterson, who ran the local bakery, noticed her skin felt different when sunlight touched it. Her husband, a retired engineer, complained about sudden changes in his body's reaction to heat. Emma knew they needed more information. She started collecting stories from the townspeople. Each narrative was like a puzzle piece, slowly revealing a larger picture. People reported increased energy, faster healing, and an unexplained resistance to sunlight that defied scientific understanding. Tom Harris, a young high school student, was the first to demonstrate something truly remarkable. During a school sports day, he ran faster than ever before, his body seemingly powered by an internal energy that shocked his coaches and teammates. His blood tests revealed genetic markers that were subtly different from previous medical records. Richard watched the developments with a mixture of excitement and concern. "We're witnessing something extraordinary," he told Emma. "Humanity might be experiencing an evolutionary leap." The local hospital began noticing strange patterns. Patients with chronic conditions were recovering faster. Elderly individuals showed increased mobility and mental sharpness. It was as if the human body was rewriting its own limitations. Emma spent nights compiling data, cross-referencing medical records, and tracking the subtle changes happening in Millbrook. She created detailed maps showing how these changes spread. Noticing they weren't random but followed a complex pattern, government agencies started showing interest. Quiet phone calls and unexpected visits became more frequent. Emma knew they were watching, studying, trying to understand what was happening in this small town. The community's reaction was mixed. Some were scared, others excited. Local meetings became forums for sharing experiences. People who had once been strangers now found themselves connected by this mysterious phenomenon. Emily Roberts, a local nurse, became a key connector. She documented patient changes, creating a comprehensive database that Emma could analyze. Together, they were building a picture of something extraordinary. As weeks passed, the changes became more noticeable. People's physical and mental capabilities seemed to expand. Children learned faster. Adults recovered from injuries more quickly, and a sense of collective energy began to grow in Millbrook. Emma knew they were on the edge of something big. This wasn't just a scientific discovery, it was a potential transformation of human capability. Her research suggested that the human body was adapting to environmental changes in ways never seen before. Richard watched her work, pride filling his eyes. "You're going to change everything," he said softly. Emma smiled, knowing that their small town might hold the key to understanding a massive shift in human potential. As the sun set over Millbrook, casting long shadows across fields and streets, something fundamental was changing. The people didn't know it yet, but they were part of a remarkable journey, a journey of human resilience, adaptation, and unexpected potential. The first chapter of an extraordinary story was just beginning. The morning mist hung low over Millbrook, a heavy silence broken only by whispers of change. James Williams walked through his wheat fields, noticing how differently the crops grew. Each stalk seemed stronger, more vibrant than ever before. His weathered hands touched the plants, feeling an energy he couldn't explain. In the town's community center, people gathered. Some looked worried, others excited. Local farmer Tom Harris shared his recent experiences. "I've been feeling different," he told the crowd. "I can run faster, work longer. It's like my body has changed overnight." Emma Thompson stood at the back of the room, watching and listening, her notebook filled with observations. Richard Clark stood beside her, his experienced eyes scanning the room. "Something extraordinary is happening," he whispered. Mrs. Peterson, from the local bakery, spoke next. Her skin looked younger, her movements more fluid. "I used to feel tired all the time," she explained. "Now, I can work from morning till night without feeling exhausted." The town doctor, Michael Roberts, began collecting medical records. Blood tests showed unexpected changes. Genetic markers were shifting. Patients with long-term conditions were recovering at unprecedented rates. Young and old alike experienced increased vitality. Emily Roberts, a nurse and Michael's daughter, became a crucial link in understanding these changes. She created detailed patient profiles, tracking the progression of these mysterious transformations. Her computer screen was filled with charts and graphs showing remarkable improvements in human capabilities. Outside, the world continued its normal rhythm. But Millbrook was different. People began to notice subtle changes in their environment. Plants grew more robustly. Animals seemed more resilient. The very air felt charged with an unexplained energy. Scientists from nearby research centers started arriving. Quiet conversations happened in coffee shops and local offices. Government representatives made discreet inquiries. Something was happening. In this small town that defied conventional understanding, Tom's high school became a fascinating case study. Students showed improved learning capabilities. Their ability to concentrate increased. Physical education classes revealed extraordinary improvements in strength and endurance. Teachers were both amazed and slightly confused. Richard organized small research groups. Emma led the scientific investigations. They worked tirelessly, collecting data, running tests, trying to understand the phenomenon. Each day brought new discoveries. Each hour revealed more mysteries. The town's communication network grew stronger. People who were once strangers now shared their experiences. A sense of community developed that was deeper than ever before. They were facing something unknown together, and that brought them closer. Local businesses began to change. The bakery produced more bread with less effort. The farm yielded better crops. The small factory in town saw increased productivity. It was as if the entire town was being transformed from within. James Williams discovered something extraordinary in his farm. Seeds that would normally take months to grow were developing in weeks. The soil seemed more alive, more responsive. He shared his findings with Emma, who carefully documented every detail. The government's interest grew. Unmarked cars appeared occasionally, driven by serious-looking individuals who asked quiet questions. But the town remained united. They protected their own, sharing information carefully, watching out for each. Emma's research suggested this was more than just a local phenomenon. Initial data showed similar changes happening in small pockets around the world. But Millbrook seemed to be the epicenter, the place where these changes were most pronounced. Richard spent hours analyzing genetic data. "We're witnessing human evolution in real time," he told Emma. "Our bodies are adapting to changes we don't yet understand." His excitement was mixed with a sense of caution. As weeks passed, the changes became more evident. People's abilities expanded. Their understanding of their own potential grew. The town of Millbrook was no longer just a small agricultural community. It was becoming something more. The gathering storm of change continued to build. Nobody knew exactly what was happening, but everyone felt something extraordinary was just beginning. The human body was revealing capabilities that had remained hidden for centuries. Something remarkable was emerging, and Millbrook was at the center of it all. The emergency alarm echoed through Millbrook, a sound that once would have triggered panic. Now, it signaled unity and preparation. Margaret Peterson, the town's most respected community leader, stood at the town hall, her silver hair reflecting determination in the morning light. "We will protect each other," she announced, her voice steady and strong. Around her, people moved with purpose. Young and old worked together, creating safe zones, organizing resources, and supporting vulnerable community members. Emma Thompson and Richard Clark had transformed the local research center into a command hub. Charts covered every wall showing the progression of human adaptation. Their team worked around the clock, monitoring changes, developing protective strategies for the community. Tom Harris, once just a high school student, now led youth emergency response teams. His natural leadership and enhanced physical abilities made him perfect for coordinating community efforts. Young people like him became the backbone of Millbrook's survival strategy. The local hospital became a center of transformation. Medical staff discovered that patients were healing faster, fighting infections more effectively. Emily Roberts documented every breakthrough, her careful records becoming a crucial scientific resource. James Williams converted his farm into a community support center. Greenhouses produced extra food, ensuring no one would go hungry. His crops grew with unprecedented speed and resilience. The farm became a symbol of hope and survival. Communication networks expanded. People shared information through secure channels, creating a web of support that stretched beyond Millbrook. Each person became a vital link in understanding their new capabilities. Outside experts began arriving quietly. Scientists, medical professionals, and government representatives studied the phenomenon. But the people of Millbrook remained united, protecting their community's integrity and privacy. Michael Roberts, the town doctor, developed rapid testing protocols. His team created systems to track human adaptations, ensuring everyone's safety and understanding. Medical knowledge was changing by the hour, and he was at the forefront. Schools transformed into adaptive learning centers. Traditional education gave way to new methods that capitalize on enhanced human capabilities. Students learned faster, understood complex concepts more quickly, and showed remarkable problem-solving skills. Emergency protocols became a way of life, but they weren't driven by fear. Instead, they were guided by hope and collective strength. Community centers became training grounds where people learned new skills, shared knowledge, and supported each other. Emma's research revealed something extraordinary. The human body wasn't just adapting, it was evolving. Genetic markers showed increased resilience, improved healing capabilities, and enhanced cognitive functions. What once seemed like science fiction was becoming reality. Richard worked tirelessly, connecting with global research networks. They discovered similar patterns in small communities worldwide. Millbrook was not alone. Humanity was experiencing a collective transformation. The town's infrastructure changed. Solar panels appeared on every building. Water recycling systems became more efficient. Community gardens flourished. Each improvement was a testament to human creativity and resilience. Young people like Emily took leadership roles. She developed training programs that helped older community members adapt to their new capabilities. Her compassion and scientific understanding became a bridge between generations. Tom's emergency response teams became models of efficiency. They created communication systems, developed support networks, and ensured no community member was left behind. His team represented the best of human collaboration. Margaret Peterson's leadership became legendary. She guided the community with wisdom, ensuring that technological advancements never overshadowed human compassion. Her weekly town meetings became forums of hope and collective problem-solving. As days turned into weeks, Millbrook transformed. What had started as a mysterious phenomenon was becoming a blueprint for human survival and adaptation. Fear gave way to understanding, uncertainty to hope. The town stood as a beacon of human potential. Each person contributed, each individual mattered. They were no longer just surviving, they were evolving, growing, becoming something more than they had ever imagined. The turning point had arrived, and Millbrook was ready. The research center buzzed with energy as scientists from around the world converged on Millbrook. Emma Thompson stood at the center of a global investigation, her green eyes reflecting both excitement and responsibility. Computers hummed, tracking the unprecedented human adaptations that were changing everything. Richard Clark carefully examined genetic maps, his experienced hands moving across digital screens. "We're seeing something extraordinary," he told a group of international researchers. "Human genetic diversity is our greatest strength." Outside, the town continued its remarkable transformation. James Williams Farm had become a living laboratory. Crops grew with impossible speed, demonstrating enhanced biological capabilities that defied previous scientific understanding. His wheat fields now produced 3 times the normal yield, with plants showing remarkable resistance to environmental challenges. Tom Harris had become a key figure in community coordination. At just 22, he managed emergency response teams that now served as a model for other communities worldwide. His ability to organize, adapt, and lead had become legendary. Young people looked up to him, seeing a new kind of leadership that combined compassion with practical problem-solving. The local hospital told an equally remarkable story. Emily Roberts documented patient after patient, showing extraordinary recovery rates. People with chronic conditions were healing faster. Elderly patients demonstrated physical capabilities that seemed to reverse aging. Medical textbooks were being rewritten in real time. Margaret Peterson transformed the town hall into a global communication hub. International researchers, government representatives, and community leaders participated in daily video conferences. Millbrook had become the epicenter of a global scientific breakthrough. Schools became centers of advanced learning. Traditional education methods disappeared, replaced by adaptive learning systems that capitalized on enhanced human capabilities. Students learned complex subjects in weeks that would have previously taken years. Critical thinking and problem-solving became the primary focus. Michael Roberts established a comprehensive health monitoring system. Blood tests, genetic analysis, and advanced scanning technologies tracked the community's transformation. Each person became a valuable piece of a larger scientific puzzle. The town's infrastructure changed dramatically. Solar panels covered most buildings. Water recycling systems became incredibly efficient. Community gardens produced abundant food. Every aspect of daily life demonstrated human innovation and adaptability. Global scientific communities watched Millbrook with a mixture of fascination and hope. What had started as a mysterious phenomenon was becoming a blueprint for human potential. Research centers in Europe, Asia, and the Americas studied the Millbrook model. Communication networks expanded. People shared knowledge freely, breaking down previous barriers of language, culture, and geography. The town became a symbol of human collaboration and collective growth. Emma's research revealed deeper insights. The human body wasn't just adapting to environmental changes, it was fundamentally redesigning itself. Genetic markers showed increased resilience, improved healing capabilities, and enhanced cognitive functions. Richard connected with research networks worldwide, sharing findings and developing collaborative strategies. They discovered similar patterns in small communities across different continents. Millbrook was not an isolated incident, but part of a global human transformation. Tom's emergency response teams became a global model. They developed communication, systems that could coordinate complex community efforts with remarkable efficiency. Young people from around the world began studying their methods. The community's spirit remained its greatest asset. Despite the extraordinary changes, people maintained their humanity. Compassion, kindness, and mutual support remained at the core of their collective experience. Margaret Peterson continued to provide wisdom and leadership. Her weekly town meetings became global forums of hope and collective problem-solving. She ensured that technological advancements never overshadowed human values. As weeks passed, Millbrook stood as a beacon of human potential. Each person contributed, each individual mattered. They were no longer just surviving. They were evolving, growing, becoming something more than anyone had ever imagined. The world watched and learned. Millbrook had become more than a town. It was a living experiment in human resilience, adaptation, and collective potential. Something extraordinary was happening, and humanity was just beginning to understand its true capabilities. Months had passed since the first changes began in Millbrook. The small town now stood as a global symbol of human potential, a living testament to adaptation and resilience. Emma Thompson stood on the hill overlooking the community, watching the transformation that had changed everything. Richard Clark, now retired but still deeply involved, sat beside her. His weathered hands held a cup of coffee, his eyes reflecting pride and wonder. "We never imagined it would come this far," he said softly. The town had become more than just a scientific breakthrough. It was a new way of living. Streets that once looked ordinary now buzzed with an extraordinary energy. People moved with purpose, their bodies and minds working in ways never seen before. James Williams's farm had become a global agricultural research center. His crops now produced enough food to feed entire regions. Sustainable farming techniques developed in Millbrook were being implemented worldwide. What once seemed impossible was now reality. Tom Harris had grown into a global leader. At 23, he coordinated international youth response teams, teaching a new approach to community building and problem solving. His leadership inspired young people across continents to think differently about human potential. The local hospital, once a small community medical center, was now a world-renowned research institution. Emily Roberts had become a leading expert in human adaptation. Her research papers were studied in medical schools around the globe. Patients from everywhere came seeking understanding of their own transformative experiences. Margaret Peterson, now in her 70s, continued to guide the community with wisdom and compassion. Her weekly meetings had become global forums of hope and collective problem-solving. Young and old listened when she spoke, her words bridging generations and cultures. Schools in Millbrook had completely transformed. Traditional education was replaced by adaptive learning systems that recognized each individual's unique potential. Students learned at incredible speeds, their minds working with a complexity that seemed almost magical. Michael Roberts had developed comprehensive health monitoring systems that were now used worldwide. The understanding of human health had changed dramatically. Diseases that were once considered chronic became manageable, sometimes even curable. Global scientific communities continued to study Millbrook. What had started as a mysterious phenomenon was now understood as a remarkable step in human evolution. Research centers from every continent sent teams to learn and observe. Emma's research had revealed the deeper truth. Humanity was not just adapting to environmental changes, it was redesigning itself. Genetic capabilities expanded, showing potential that previous generations could never have imagined. The town's infrastructure became a model of sustainability. Solar power, water recycling, and community farming created a self-sufficient ecosystem. Every building, every system, demonstrated human innovation and collective thinking. Communication networks developed by Tom's team connected people across the world. Language barriers disappeared. Cultural differences became opportunities for understanding rather than sources of conflict. The world was becoming more connected than ever before. As seasons changed, Millbrook continued to grow. Young people like Emily developed new technologies. Older community members shared wisdom and experience. Every individual contributed. Every person mattered. Richard watched the town with a sense of wonder. "We're witnessing something extraordinary," he told Emma. "Humanity is discovering its true potential." The global perspective had changed. Where people once saw limitations, they now saw possibilities. Millbrook had become more than a town. It was a living example of human resilience, adaptation, and collective growth. Emma understood now that their journey was just beginning. The changes they had witnessed were not an end point, but a starting point. Humanity was evolving, growing, becoming something more than anyone had ever imagined. As the sun set over Millbrook, casting long shadows across the transformed landscape, hope filled the air. The human spirit had triumphed, not through conflict or competition, but through understanding, cooperation, and collective potential. Something remarkable had happened, and the world would never be the same again.